I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm unhappy, but the amount of time that I've spent crying in the last 24 hours easily exceeds the amount of times I've cried in this year. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say might come close to the amount of times I cried in the last year, given we know how difficult the last year has been for us, especially on this channel. Anyways, so it's Vivi. After I recorded that last video of ours, I wrote a poem for her, posted on FetLife, and my friend had come visit me because that would be the last time we were meeting. And because of that, they didn't allow me to pack or sleep, so I went to sleep at around 10:30 a.m. I woke up at around 2:30 p.m. At that time, Vivi had messaged me at 1 p.m. from which I only saw the second message. I've missed on seeing the first one. So basically, what she was saying is I wrote the thank you and all of that at night, and during the morning after like around 2 p.m. when she woke up, I read it. Thank you for being so sweet. I wish we could just cuddle up until your flight. Haha. So, Mr. Governor, which account should I message you on? I only read the governor one, so it's up to you. Anyways, I woke up and I thought that I really want to go to Rolex with her to buy a watch instead of my roommate. So I called her and I was like, I have an interesting proposal. She's like, you always say that. What is it this time? I was like, so my second to dream watch is available at Rolex, and I was wondering if you'd wanna come with me. She's like, oh, when? I was like, in 40 minutes. She's like, 40 minutes? I was like, in 30 minutes. I was like, okay, fine, 40 minutes. She's like, okay, I'll get ready as soon as possible. I was like, okay, fantastic. Give me your address, I'll come pick you up. And so we went to her place. She put up her blonde hair for me, a wig, she dressed up really quickly, and she's like, I shaved my armpit hair. That's not something I've done for Paul, which is her daddy as well, but I did it for you. And I'd gotten this perfume for her, so I gave that to her as like a goodbye gift. Then we started heading to Rolex, and at that time, I was talking to her that I'm getting in my dom energy now, that I have to get back, I'm gonna be going my role and all of that. The thing is, I've said this story to so many people already, and I don't like repeating myself. Anyways, so we were heading to Rolex, and she got a bit tearful over there. And then when we were at Rolex, we bought the watch. Oh yes, there was one thing. So I was holding her like this, and from her waist or shoulder, and she was like, just keep your hand like this, and she held my arm like this, how couples walk. And when we were heading to Rolex, we bought the watch. She was there, and we took some photos over there. I kissed her cheek. Anyways, so when we at Rolex, that fucking dealer took so much time of mine. What could have been a swift 10 minutes purchase, he took a good 30 to 45 minutes. So we reached at around 3:30, and he kept us over there until 4:34, around 4:15ish. That was a lot of unnecessary 45 minutes wasted there. I would much rather done with the purchase in 10 minutes and spend the rest of the time with her. Anyways, after that we were initially thinking that we are gonna head back to her apartment. But I was like, we just have enough time to, go back to my house, finish packing, and then head to airport. I asked her if she wanted to come to the airport. She's like, sure. Later we were talking, and I was like, if she minded if we took the train, and she's like, oh, it's fine, I can help you pack and all of that. Anyways, we went to my friend's house where I was living, and she helped me pack. She started playing songs on the Alexa over there, and this one particular song she played was the first one she played. It's known as Orange. It's about falling in love after saying goodbye. Anyways, so we were talking, and given we both are on FetLife, I asked if I could see her boobs, and she's like, I knew you were gonna ask that. She's like, yeah. And then she showed it to me, and I asked if I could touch it. I played with it a little. Anyways, we were talking, and I wanted to keep hugging her, but she's like, finish packing. I don't want you to be in a rush. Finish packing. I was like, okay, fine. Anyway, she was very hungry, but I only had snacks at home, so I gave her some snacks she could have, and we were talking, and at this one point it happened that I was packing, and we were just, I don't even remember what we were talking about. We were just talking, and she came to me, and we were talking, and she kissed me on my lips all of a sudden. Oh yeah, at Rolex I asked her if she could kiss me as as a achievement gift for the Rolex, which is a big thing. She's like, I'll think about it. And when we were at home, she just all of a sudden came and kissed me, and she had this very happy and surprisingly, of course I don't do it that well, but like a very cute reaction. And I was like, oh, like that. And it was very beautiful, and she's like, I don't know why I did that, I don't know what happened. And I was like, it's fine. Anyways, then we finished packing, and my friend came home, and done with packing. We just had enough time to reach the airport and get check-in done because the boarding was gonna start at 7. Then while we were I kept hugging her even at home, and then I found this random $100 lying around in my house, cash. And I was like, and she started laughing, oh, you have just $100 laying around like that? I was like, yeah. Okay, I have an interesting idea. How about I give you the $100, $150 if you let me kiss your pussy. She's like, oh no, what's on? No. And I was like, yeah, sorry. Anyways, then we got in the cab later on, and we were heading for the airport, and I was telling her that I feel like I'm ruining it, our goodbye at Oasis was so good, I don't know why I'm acting like this way. I'm so sorry if I'm being creepy or making you uncomfortable. She's like, no, it's fine. We're all on FetLife, that's one thing. And secondly, if you were making me uncomfortable, I wouldn't come all the way to the airport with you. And I would just, ask, just drop me off right now. I'm heading home, It's like, no, I wouldn't do that and all of that. Anyways, so when we were driving, or rather in the Uber to the airport, I told her about my Imperium vision as to how a life partner signifies happiness. And at that point, I told her that she was everything I would want in my life partner. She's like, oh, why is that? I was like, I don't know, it's the chemistry, the presence, it's just, I can be me, the people in the vanilla world, they see a certain me, and the people in the fet world see a certain me. You have seen both of those, and you're okay with that. I just have this sense of belonging with you. And then I told her that before Oasis, in the park when she was stepping on me, like a exhibitionist fun kind of a thing, I got to see the dom side of her. Before Oasis, I got to see the friendship part of her, and she's like, "Don't tell me about the physical stuff. Tell me about emotional. What do you feel emotionally?" It's like, "I'm getting there. Don't worry." So basically, at Oasis, I would love to believe that I got to see the loving side of her. I don't know if it's true or not. It doesn't sound true, but I would personally want to believe that at Oasis, when you were hugging and crying me, I got to experience your love. Anyways, we were talking, and I again came to say that, I don't know why I'm behaving like this today. Like, previously in our interactions, I have been very, I'm like, okay, right? Like, I don't act out of place. I've been friendly, I maintain the boundaries. But I don't know what's happening today. It's just like, seeing you cry, it invokes something in me. And she's like, yes, I think that's probably because now there is something on stake, you know? And it's like, yes, that's true. Then she was talking as to how her daddy or Paul, like, or anyone right now in general isn't her boyfriend, isn't her husband, doesn't want to get married, doesn't want to have kids. And she asked me if I wanted to have kids. I was like, yeah, eventually someday. Anyways, so, and at that time, like, the airport was visible to us, like, it was like around 300 meters away. And she was saying that, he doesn't want us have children with me, he doesn't want to marry me. And I go like, and then here's where I am. Given the opportunity, I would love to spend my life with you, have kids with you, do all those things with you. But sadly, time and distance doesn't permit it. And she started tearing up again. I was like, hold on, don't cry right now. We have to still do the check-in and everything. Given how late we are and check-in closes in like 5 minutes, there's a good likelihood that I might just have to stay. So she started laughing again. Anyways, we went in and I was like, let's hypothetically imagine what would a marriage between us look like. And we started talking that, okay, there's gonna be a Vietnamese wedding and then an Indian wedding. I was like, there's gonna be, okay, a wedding in Vietnam and a wedding in India. And she's like, yes, we need to also have a wedding in Toronto for our friends. Just like, yes, that's true. But then, so okay, we have one grand Indian wedding. She's like, really grand? I was like, yeah, it's my marriage, it's gonna be grand. Like, all our friends and cousins are gonna dance in it. And I was like, okay, how about living? Where could we live? She's like, in India? It's like, oh, that's a relief. I thought you were gonna say Vietnam or Toronto. She's like, no, we can live in India. It's like, yes, that's true. I can drive you around in my car and all of that. Anyways, at that point, we were getting late for check-in and we had to really look for an encounter. So our conversation got interrupted over there. And then came the part where we had to do the check-in. And not a lot of information there, apart from the fact that I just got done with check-in and the person at the check-in counter was like, okay, you need to get going. The boarding has already started. I was like, yes, I'm gonna make my way there. Anyways, my bags were overweight by like 7 kgs, but the person let us go for free. So I was like, why she let me go for free? She's like, no. I was like, so when I entered, I tried to build a relationship with her. Like, the sun was coming on that person's face, I tried to cover it with my hands, and all of that. I think that helped. Anyways, we were talking, and I was like, okay, the security said, but there wasn't much line in it. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna be a bit longer with you. She's like, no, you should get going, the boarding has already started. I was like, no, don't worry, I've done this many times. I have a walking stick with me, it wouldn't take long. Let's talk. And she's like, okay, can you find water? I'm very thirsty. I was like, and we tried looking for water, but we couldn't find any. So like, okay, let's just remain close to security and just sit and talk over there. So we stood and I hugged her the entire time. And I again started saying my goodbyes like I was saying at Oasis, that be happy and I'm gonna miss you. Then I said, Given that this may be the last time we are meeting for a while, I just wanted to say I love you. She's like, really? Are you serious? I was like, I don't know. It's just very synonymous. This feeling that I'm having, it's very synonymous to love. She's like, okay, let's just say you love me as a friend. Ha ha ha. Anyways, then I was just looking at her beautiful eyes, and then she kissed me again on my lips. It was a bit longer than just a small one, it was a bit longer. And I did not know, and I introduced tongue in it. She's like, really? The tongue in kissing, even when I'm emotional? I was like, I'm sorry. I don't know what to do in these situations. I've never been in one. We kept hugging, we kept talking. I kept kissing her cheeks. I didn't initiate the lip kisses though. I only waited for her to do that. Anyways, then I was like, okay, now it's 7:20. The door closes at 7:45. I really need to go to the security and everything. So I got in the line for security, and we had one long hug again. I was like, be happy. I hope to see you soon. I'll miss you. And then she kissed me on the lips again. And then while I was walking to security, she waited over there. And then as I got further away from her, as I was going in the line of security, I started crying. So then by the time I reached the security, there was like literally no one ahead of me, but it would have been a mere 20 seconds of me walking, and I reached security and I left my bag over there, and I saw her. When I said my goodbye and she kissed me, she wasn't crying at that time. She was tearful though. Anyways, because then I started crying, I left my bag at security and I walked up to her again. I asked them to open the thing so I can go and say goodbye again. And she was bawling her eyes out at that time, and then I was crying, and I gave her a hug again, and I was like, I miss you, and I'll miss you, and all of that. And I was like, okay, I need to get going. It's 7:30. I have like 15 minutes. I need to do security. And I left, and then she left. And then I got on the plane, and after that I started crying a lot. And then once I landed, I asked, she sent me that song of her the one where it goes like falling in love after saying goodbye. She sent me that song. Like, it's a very emotional song, and she's like, I want you to be happy when you think of me, It's not that much of it's a happy song. I'm just opening our chats. So I sent her the message that, hi, I made it. I sent the photos, and she's like, safe flight. I'll definitely treasure our time together, and the memories of us will bring me joy always. I'm so glad to have had a friend like you. And I go like, Vivi, I've been sitting here trying to find the right words, and I don't think there are any. I already miss you. Thank you for making my last few days in Toronto some of the happiest and most meaningful I've had in a very long time. I'll treasure every laugh, every hug, every kiss, every conversation, and every little adventure we shared. If I ever made you uncomfortable in any way, or got carried away at any point, I'm genuinely sorry. That was never my intention. Thank you for being so patient and kind with me. I hope life is incredibly kind to you, Vivi. You deserve every bit of happiness it has to offer. Maybe one day somewhere in the world we'll bump into each other again. Until then, take care of yourself, be happy, live life, don't just survive. And she goes like, I really appreciate you, Rishi. I'm happy to experience your world a little. I tried on the perfume you gave me and I love it. Take care of yourself and your health as well. Write me your adventures. And also remember to have sufficient rest on the plane. And then I like said hi, I just landed in Zurich, I'm really glad you like the perfume. And I was like, as commanded, though if the place is unique enough, I'll probably video call you. And then I asked her if I could post our photos on Instagram. And then she asked me which photos, and she said she sent me the song, and she's like, this is the song about loving someone after they're gone. And for the photos part, I'm gonna skip that bit, but for the song, I was like, I have a feeling it's going to make me emotional every time I hear it. So then I told her that, I've noticed this, that sometimes when you're sad or emotional, at that time you start paying attention to what the lyrics means, and when you're happy, you just go with the vibe. Now in my case, I understand Japanese, but I don't know, after listening this song for like 3 to 4 seconds, it just made me so emotional, I started crying, so I had to pause it. So she's like, it's a happy song, I still want you to be happy when you think of me, and you can share the photos where you kiss me on my cheek at Oasis. He's like, okay. He's like, why are you so perfect? Fine, I'll do my best, but for a little while, I think it's going to be smiles with tears, so I'm counting that as a happy smile. And then we started talking, and I tried to switch the conversation to the lines in Zurich and all of that, and how they forgot my bag. And then I asked her, did you meet Paul yesterday? And she's like, yeah, he cooked me dinner, and then we watched Transformers 1. I was like, did you tell him that you kissed me? Haha. She's like, yeah, I couldn't lie. He wasn't mad though, he said he knew about our bond with each other. Then she said, I didn't tell him how I felt happier to be with you than with him, though. And I was like, Vivi, that's a really vulnerable thing to tell me. Thank you for trusting me with that. In all my days in Toronto, one of my happiest and most memorable were with you. And then for the Paul messages, like, I'm happy that didn't turn into something ugly. She goes like, well, he isn't a jealous guy to begin with, so that's a good at least. And then for my message, when I wrote with that I'm happiest and definitely most memorable with her, then she goes, thank you for coming in my life, Rishi. And then I was like, really? You told me that, he gets jealous of you meeting others. And she's like, yeah, like men who actually take me on dates, men his age and such. He thinks you're too young, but he doesn't seem to think I could bond with you too. I was like, yes, I guess I'm more boyfriend or husband material than daddy material, at least at 23. And she's like, I agree that you are more boyfriend or husband material. Then at around 12:40 a.m. my time, and now it's 5 p.m. my time, I wrote, oh, that's sweet of you to say, And then I was like, I sent the photo of us at Rolex, which she doesn't really like, but I was kissing her on the cheek. I was like, I actually love this picture of ours, and I go like, I miss you, Yenny. Then I sent her the song Remember Me from Coco, and I was like, your song made me think of you, so here's the one that reminds me of us. Whenever you listen to it, I hope you think of me the way I'll think of you. I wrote this to her when I was crying though. She hasn't responded yet. She went for the Pride weekend and the Pride March, so she's probably been busy with all of that and hasn't had the time. But yeah, now I've started to think that with everything that happened with Vivi, Oasis crying at around 2:30 a.m., Rolex, the poem at around 7 a.m., Rolex at 3 p.m., the airport, going to the airport at around 6 p.m., and the crying at the airport, and me going back from security to her at around 7 p.m. All of this happened within a span of around 15 hours. 15 hours. I haven't even taken her out on an official date or anything. It's just these intense emotional moments. for which I've spent a lot of the day to day crying and not been in the mood. I just wanted to come back to this hotel room and start crying instead of being out there with my family. I wonder why is it that I miss her even though we only shared one very emotional day, like less than 24 hours, one very emotional day. But I don't care about missing my parents right now at least. Why is it that even though I went to the Rolex store and I bought an expensive watch, why is it that I would much rather live in Toronto, live in a small house, take the public transport and maybe not wear any watch and be okay with that, provided I'm with her, than buying an expensive watch or any of that? Why is Vivi coming between Imperium and I? A video I made day before yesterday about Imperium, about finally having clarity and wanting to go back to, eventually be successful. Why do I not want it anymore? What changed? Like, yes, Vivi was still in my life at that point, but she was just a cool friend I knew. Why do I suddenly have all these feelings for her? All these emotions? I have no idea. All this time I've just been trying to think of different ways I could possibly go back to Canada, or maybe bring her to wherever I am, you know? I don't know what's going on in my mind. She was very true when she said it. I was like, I don't know why am I acting like this in this way. And she goes like, yes, I think it's because you have something on stake now. The more she cried, the more the feelings got invoked in me. She cried at Oasis. I came home, I cried, I was fine. I was gonna go buy the Rolex. I wouldn't have maybe cried after. But then she came to the airport with me. I spent 5 years in Canada, no one came to the airport with me. She came. Like, Ayan would have come had Vivi not come, but like, still. I still had to ask for it. With Vivi, she just came to the airport. She cried, no one else cried. I called the friend and he's like, my throat is hurting, I can't come. The throat of all places is hurting and I can't come. A lot of the people didn't even bother texting Bon Voyage or anything like that. But she came. So I don't know why, what, who, what happened. It's too much, too fast. Quite an emotionally accelerated moment, or a bunch of series of these moments. Why is it that I'm aware of my desires and fantasy of Imperium, but I would much rather live a common person's life instead of what I thought was my destiny? Why? Why do I not want what I dreamt of for so long? For a girl who I met and shared some emotional moments with. I've known her less than 3 weeks. All this emotional energy came up in 15 hours. And not even like we weren't continuously together as well. Like I would say 3 p.m. until 7:30, so 4.5 hours there. And at Oasis, maybe another 30 minutes of her crying. So like 5 hours. 5 hours of such emotionally accelerated moments, and here I am already crying. I've cried more than 4 to 5 times in the last 24 hours. When we were getting off the cab after Rolex, she's like, "How is it with Mimi now? Are you doing okay?" I was like, "I'm fine." She said, "You are in love." I was like, "I never said I was in love. I just said that I thought she was perfect for me, for a dynamic, like a dom." She's like, "Oh, I thought it was love." So I got very serious. And I was like, "No, no, no. I meant like a dynamic." She's like, "Oh, I'm autistic." And I was like, "Yeah, no, I didn't mean love. I thought it was something synonymous to love, but it wasn't love, definitely." She's like, "Okay, okay." Anyways, one of my favorite moments throughout was not when she kissed me, but it was when I was just hugging her. I had my arms around her like this, like my biceps were touching her cheeks. We were so close to each other that if I got any closer, I would have kissed her. Or when my hands were around her waist and we were just hugging and talking, you know, all that. And we had our hands like, crossing each other, holding our hands and walking together as if we were a couple. All that. Those were my favorite moments. Like now, I've been thinking that I should tell her this when we get on call sometime, hopefully soon. That I regret asking you to see her pussy or whatever. Because to be honest, it doesn't matter. I would much rather hug you than, do any of that. Like cuddle and just be with you. That's where the real emotion is. That's where the belonging is. So I'm sorry, I should not have asked that. Oh yes, one thing, when we were on the car ride, we were talking something and somehow it came up. I was like, I wouldn't mind if you dom me sometime in the future whenever we meet. I was like, no, wait. Within the same 2 seconds, I was like, no, I retract it. I don't want that. I'll change it. I take back the request or whatever that is that I asked. What I would really want to do is when we meet again, and if you are still single, I would love to take you out on a date. Then the life partner and all of that came up. She saved my birthday on her calendar. I saved hers on mine. I don't know what it is, where my mind is at, what I'm thinking, what I'm not thinking. Why is it that I don't want to see anyone? Just be in my room, hotel room, and cry, cry, cry. Just be alone, not be disturbed by anyone. I met my parents after more than a month, and I still just prefer to be alone in my room. We listen to a few sad songs, or sleep, not get out of bed. Here's something interesting I thought of to engage with and stay in touch with Vivi. I was like, I wanna, contribute to my fitness journey. Oh yeah, she kept touching my belly when we were together though. Anyways, So that's sort of something that I was thinking before as well. I've been thinking for a while, where I was like, okay, now you can incentivize me to get fitter. Like, you could give me certain tasks or certain things to do and certain milestones, and when I reach them, you could give me some incentive so as to why I should, go through with that. And I'd leave it up to you as to what you want to incentivize me with. But I had initially thought that given that we are online, it could be that, let's say, like for example, I'm doing vape right now. She's like, okay, you don't drink, don't vape, do the like the basic things. You do this, and then you can get a photo of me smiling, or like a call or a voice message with me, something. Then let's say if I hit a certain milestone, let's say I lose 1 kg, then I get to watch a movie with her while she's on video call, or like something like that. And then that way it contributes to my journey of getting fitter, and hopefully someday when we meet again and I would have achieved a certain big milestone, she could incentivize me more, like we will go on a date, or we'll go here, or we'll go there, something like that. I'm not particularly looking at anything sexual, but yeah, these are my thoughts. What do you think? Where am I? What is going on? What the fuck is going on? Imperium or Vivi? How do I make a choice? Should I make a choice? Do I need to make a choice? Even though it's very clear that Imperium is coming my way, if I just go with the flow and, stick to the plan we had made and just work and all of that, as opposed to if I choose Vivi, or if I then it's in Toronto, and like there's a detour, and I don't know.